Do we all know Chowdeck? Chowdeck made 20 billion naira last year as revenue, as profit, not revenue. So that means that they made 20 billion after taxes, after expenses, after expenditure, after everything they've done. They made 20 billion naira. And you see, in the same vein, in the same place, Glovo is struggling. Why? Because Glovo has not been able to achieve what Chowdeck was able to achieve, which is what? Number one, on-time delivery. Number two, collaboration. Number three, collaboration and partnership. Number three, they have accessibility. You see, these are things that we'll touch on this morning so that we all understand what it takes to be an entrepreneur. So, Sister Koforola, which happens to be my sister, spoke about ideas, right? Spoke about seeing ideas and everything. I was going through the news last week, and France, we all know France, couldn't meet up with their budget. You know, every year government set budgets, set how they want to spend money, where they want the money to go and everything else. But they couldn't meet up with their budget. And you know why? Because they were driven out of the Sahel region. Do you know what the Sahel region is? The regions in the southeast of Africa. Somalia, no, Egypt is not in the southeast. Can anyone tell me where the Sahel region are? So Somalia, you know, the French-speaking country. Do we all know President Traore? Okay. We know. We have an idea. So France has been kicked out of those regions, the 5 regions, where they carry out mining operations. They take their gold, their lithium, all those resources, take it to France, and then that basically sustained the economy of France. Now, a few days ago, Macron himself came to Africa, invited Dangote, invited Rabiu, the owner of Bois Cement, to a lunch, to a dinner, to speak about the future of France. Now, I'm saying this because you have to understand that the future of the world is dependent on Africa. So, the road might be bad. There might be several delinquencies when it comes to social amenities. But you see, you have to make sure that you do not feed your mind with negativity. So if you want to make headway as an entrepreneur, you must make sure that your eyes, your mind, your ears is blended to all the naysayers. Set your goals, set your visions, and go by it. See, Africa is the future of the world. Say it again. Africa is the future of the world. The resources that we have, what God has blessed us with, both in human infrastructure, mineral resources, accessibility, the grit, the ability to stay on something and make its way. Africa is the future of the world. All right, so I love the topic ideation, right? Very much. Because what it helps you to do is that it helps you see problem. Growing up, I have a very short book where I write ideas in. I remember my mom would come and meet me and say, "Oh, you're always writing big ideas." And I write it anyways, because it has given unto everyone the ability to dream. See, after salvation, even before salvation, each and every one of us self to say yes, or to say yes, right, or to say no. And he also gave every one of us the ability to dream. You see, if you take man's ability to dream from him, that man is dead, because the future becomes gloomy, and then you begin to see depression, desperation, people going into crime, all those things, because they have no dream. There's no passion. They do not have the ability to look into tomorrow and say, "Oh, I have hope." We have hope, and our hope is in what? Christ. So that means that we don't just only have hope, we have the ability to dream. to imagine, to bring into our physical what we see in the spiritual, right? So I love ideas so much. I want everyone to dream. I want everyone to have an idea. That's why I would never shut off any idea. If you come to me and say, oh, Bro John, I have an idea, I want to do this, I want to do that, the first thing I will ask you is, have you done your findings? What is the practicality of this idea? Is there a need for the idea? Is there a problem you're trying to solve? Before, we used to see plastic bottles everywhere. Someone came and said, why not just process these plastic bottles? And then you begin to see that Hausas also got a job. You end global warming. There's now green energy through ethanol. You produce ethanol through plastic bottles. All those things came from just an idea. Someone saw an idea. It means plastic bottles do not degrade. I hope we all believe that. We all know that. In fact, Nigeria, Africa ought to have moved from the era of plastic bottles into paper, because plastic bottles do not degrade. But the question is this: before we move from one point to the other, someone has seen a gap in between moving from point A to point B. Before we move, how can I make money? How can I turn this problem into an idea, make money from it, employ people, and then grow the business? That's an idea. And someone said, oh, let's begin to process every plastic bottle we use. And then you see that Coca-Cola would also, Biggie also opened up their own factory as well from a single idea. So the ideation process is a very, very important process. You have to be able to see the problem. Open your eyes to the problem. Open your mind to the problem. There's problem everywhere. 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 I tell, when the brother was talking about me, I'm a cleaner. What I do is to clean houses. That's my business. And when I go anywhere, I tell people that I'm a cleaning entrepreneur, because I buy time from people. We have mothers who have three children who can't clean their homes. We have hospitals, GPs, offices. You need someone to go in there and clean it. And that's why I came in. I went in there, told them, I can do this for you. I won't just do it for you, but I'll use products that are environmentally friendly, in the sense that when you come in, I'll clean and you'll still be able to work in your office. Whereas people will come in and say, oh, don't worry, I'll clean for you for cheaper. And they won't be able to do it. So ideation is very, very good. Now, let's start from ideation, which is the first thing. What's ideation? Ideation is your thoughts, thinking about a problem, right? Which is very, very crucial. When you see a problem, pick it up, analyze it, think about it, and then you begin to come with a solution. But the point is, it is not all solutions that are needed. So you can have an idea that is not yet fit for the market. And that's where research comes in. You think about an idea, the first thing you do is to swing into action. Don't be like me. I've wasted a few pounds on a few ideas. 2 months ago, I went for a training. I told my wife, oh, and the thing is, when you have an idea, you're very happy about it. There's excitement. There's this glow within you. Oh, I got it. I'm going for it. I'll go and do it. Blah, blah. And then without, doing my research, I went for the meeting. I paid £1,400. Wasted money. And I came back after the training to see that the idea was not needed. Do you understand? Meaning that I've wasted money. However, I've learned from it. So, anyways, don't be like me. Make sure that you have an idea. You think about it. Make sure the idea also solves a problem. So you have an idea. You think about it. You attach it to a problem, right? And once you attach it to a problem, second thing to do is look at the acceptability of the idea. Chowdeck saw an industry of vendors, cooks, who were not able to access the population, right? And they came in, they said, okay, we'll build a platform for you to reach the customers. Now, what Chowdeck is doing is a B2B, right? Do we all know B2B? Yeah, business to business. And they said, okay, we'll approach the business and place it directly to your customer. That's B2C. So Chowdeck has been able to build an interface for vendors, eateries, to meet their customers. And you know what they did? What Chowdeck only does is create a platform, and that was it. Technology. And they were able to solve the issue of delivery. Now, I can be in Surulere now, pick up my phone. I want to eat amala, but I can't cook. What do? Pick up my phone, go to Chowdeck, look at reviews of people, just like Airbnb. Do you understand? Airbnb also saw, they have an idea. They saw the problem. Before I was coming here, when Pastor told me, oh, let's book you an hotel. I told him, I said, don't worry, I'll do it on Airbnb. Don't worry yourself. He was like, what's Airbnb? I said, don't worry. When I come, I'll show you what Airbnb means. That's what Airbnb does. So people can come here, build a house, don't live in the house, and make money from the house. That's an idea that is solving a problem. So when you think of an idea that solves problems. So the ideation stage is a very, very important stage. Think about an idea, know for a fact that this idea solves a problem, and then research about the problem. You see, I've seen so many people pump money into business. Growing up, my parents own a school, a very big school, and I began to see a trend that when they opened the school, their friends also opened the school. Everyone began to open a school. We know how it is in the church, in religion growing up. Now, once someone starts a business, the same other person will also go into business. And we've seen so many of them struggle because they do not understand the business. My father is a principal. He resigned from a teaching job. So you understand what he was going into. The fourth thing will be that you do your research, gain knowledge, right? Gain knowledge. So you have an ideation, you're able to attach the idea to a problem, right? The third thing is, does the problem solve a solution? And the fourth thing is the research. Do your research. Don't just go blind on into a business, right? Carry out a research. Know if the problem itself is profitable. Before Facebook came, right, there was a social media platform that was created before Facebook came. So Facebook was not meant to be a social media platform. It was meant to connect those who have left school together, right? However, you see, I've seen multiple times that an idea will come before the acceptance. So you also have to make sure that the acceptance of the idea is now. Do we all get it? Oh, okay. I will try and explain again. How do I explain this? Okay. Let me use the idea of Tesla self-driving, right? I drive a Tesla, and before the whole idea of driving electric came, powering a car through a battery, right? Someone somewhere have built a car that runs on electric, right? But the idea came before the acceptance of it. So there was no problem of petrol. There was no war in Iran, right? There was no increase in gas. There was no issue of militants blowing up pipeline. Do you understand? So that means there was no problem for the idea that came. So this man didn't make any money, and he spent thousands of pounds on it, and he didn't make any money. However, Elon Musk came at the right time. So Elon Musk sat down and said, okay, the world is electric. The future is electric. How do I put money back in people's pockets? For example, now I come into Nigeria. Petrol is a thousand. How much? 300, right? Do you know that if I drive my car down here, I would only charge my car full tank for 5,000 naira, and that would give me 300 miles, right? Now, Elon Musk has been able to solve the whole problem of buying expensive fuel. I'd rather go for electric. However, someone before him came up with the idea when it was not yet acceptable. So that means you can have an idea without the ability to solve a problem. And since people make so much of that mistake, oh, I want to do this, you get so excited about it, you get so happy about it, and all of a sudden, people don't accept the idea. It's not you, right? It just shows that the population and the people you're trying to sell your idea to are not there yet. Does not mean that the idea is bad, but the idea is not attached to a solution or to a problem for you to solve and make money. Okay? So let me quickly go through the Kingdom Entrepreneur roadmap, right? I'm talking about idea. Idea is more like a vision of who you want to be, or what you want to become, or what you want your future to be, and then you start. But the question is, how do you start? You have the idea already. You're able to establish a contact, to a problem. An idea is there. An idea is there to have a solution to a problem. You've done your research. You've gone through the training, proper training, and the whole thing. You have the whole thing. But the question remains that how do you start your idea? How do you bring your given vision into life? And this happens to be one of the biggest problem of entrepreneurs. I've seen great managers who cannot start a business. They can only manage. And they'll come to me and say, John, you're trying, I cannot start a business. But if you leave me to manage a business, I'll be able to do it. Right? So that's why I said before that it's not everyone that can be an entrepreneur. So understanding yourself is also a very key aspect in knowing when to start or to manage. So Sister Sonia now can say, I have this idea, but I don't know how to start. So how do I start? The first thing to do is to write out the idea, right? Make it plain. Your ideas are only they're only abstract until they become plain. So bring your vision into writing. That's the first thing to do. Write out those vision in plain words. Make sure they are well spelled out. This is what I want to do. This is how I want to do it. And you see, you can also copy ideas. There's no new idea anymore in the world. That's the good thing about business, about starting out. So after writing down, search for those who have done what you want to do. Search for them. If possible, get in touch with them. Ask questions. However, you can also learn from afar off. When I was starting out, I come to understand that the cleaning industry is a very well-kept secret. Nobody wants to teach you anything for free. So while starting out, if you have to pay for mentorship, please pay for mentorship. It is very, very important. If you have to pay someone to help you help you learn, right? Help you understand about the terrain of the industry. Help you conceptualize the whole idea that you have into a physical structure, into a starting point. Please pay for it. I've seen people make mistakes a whole lot. I've made my own share of mistake. But I ask myself a question every time that if I'd asked someone to mentor me, would I have made those mistakes? No. And I probably know where to start from. I probably know what to do, how to do it, and where to do it, right? So starting is very, very important. So I I'll make the session very, very practical, right? I'll show you how to start. I'll explain to you what to do when to start a business. The first thing to do while starting is understanding your market. Who are your markets? Maybe, who are your markets? Who do you sell to? Yes, yes, please. Can I have a mic?
Praise God.
Hallelujah.
My initial markets were students, young persons, but it's gradually moved on to senior citizens as well. So I market have people that really want to use smart gadgets and accessories.
Thank you. Awesome. So, you see, the industry that you want to go into is a very broad industry. And the mistake you make is you saying to yourself that you want to be active in all the sector. I'll give you an example of the oil and gas industry. We have the upstream, the middle stream, and the downstream. Now, the downstream are those who sell, the people in your area who sell gases to you, right? And the downstream. Now, imagine if someone in the downstream wake up one day and say, oh, I want to go into the upstream. Number one, it would waste money. It would burn cash, waste time, waste resources. So now, why starting out? Determine who your market audience would be from the very first day of starting. I was talking to a brother who does photography, right? And I was telling him about a guy who does wedding photography, just wedding photography. He doesn't do birthday shoots, he doesn't do portraits, doesn't do any other thing. The only thing he does is weddings. And you see him on YouTube, see him on Facebook, see him on Instagram, you see him everywhere. Now, if anybody would think of calling anyone who does wedding photography, do you know who they'll call? They'll call the guy. So determine which market you want to service from the start of it all. I'll give you another example. An hairdresser opens up and says, oh, I want to open a shop, hairdressing shop. And says, oh, but I want to service all the aspects. The point is, you will only be a jack of all trade. You will not master any. And I've seen someone who will say, oh, I'm an hairdresser. However, I do only locks and braidings. I don't do wigs. I don't do attachments. I don't do all those things. All I do is locks. And this person's an individual is making so much progress. You know why? Because if it goes to someone, oh, I'll give you one that drives home. Example that drives home. So I came into Nigeria, I said I was going to make a suit, right? I had an event in Lagos. The person I gave my kaftan to, exceptional, very, very sweet kaftan, very lovely. And I asked him, do you make suits? He said yes. Lo and behold, suits came day before yesterday, and it was terrible. Kaftan suit, thank you. So the guy has failed to understand that his ability is only kaftan. He couldn't make suit. He should have told me. And I paid almost 300,000 naira for that suit. Now, I'm still on it. So I'm giving you these examples for you to understand that. See, if you see a plumber who makes just everything, he cannot be a good plumber. And that's the problem we have with Africa. The inability to dwell on a sector in a market. I know a guy in the US who's a plumber, and the only thing he does is treatment of water. So he see him anywhere. He writes it down, I'm a plumber, but I treat waters. So you move into a new house, the water smells, and you go online and say, oh, water treatment. What do you think the market will bring for you? The guy. And the guy you would hardly see negative review of his services because he understands
only
that he understands his market.
So
he knows how to advertise. He knows what people want, what people need, how they need it.
So you move into
don't
a new
be
house,
a jack of all trades.
the water smells.
Choose
And you go
a
online and
sector
say, "Oh,
in a market you're
water
going
treatment."
into.
What do you think the market will bring
ladies
for
who
you?
only
The
does
guy-
prom dresses. And
the
the
guy
guy,
has
they don't
failed
do
to hardly
wedding
see
dresses,
negative review
don't
of
do
his
all those
services
things.
because
All
he
they
understands
do is
only
so that
clothes
he understands his market.
for those who are in
He knows how
the
to
US,
advertise.
write it
He
down.
knows
Want
what
to go for
people
proper
want, what people need,
That's a market.
how they need it. She understands the terrain.
So you move
She
into a
knows
new house,
jack of
how
all
she makes
trades.
some profits.
She knows how she
Choose
spends her
and go
expenses.
online and say, "Oh,
She knows
in a
how
market
to
you're
do
going
it.
into."
So being a jack of all trades,
ladies
is
who
not good.
only
So
does
while
prom
going,
dresses.
while starting out,
And the guy
decide
who
which of the
don't
which of the
do
sectors
wedding
you
dresses,
want
negative
those
review of
services.
services.
All that's why sector
So
research
that
also comes
he
in.
understands his
Research
market.
your
Those who
sector.
are in-
You
know
know
how to
your
advertise.
age
Right?
demographics.
What people want.
From Yebi said something. He said when he was starting out, the first thing he knows he had in mind was to service the youth.
She knows how she spends her
Because the
expenses.
youth, she knows, want to feel alive.
So being a
They want to
jack of
show
all
off.
trades,
Do you understand? They want to
only
walk
does
into a
one
place
way,
and show off the iPhone.
They don't
Which of the
do
sectors?
wedding
Do
dresses.
you get? He understood his market. He was able to determine from the scratch that this is where I want to sell to. This is how I want to do it. This is their age bracket.
The first thing is
How do they work? They spend money based on emotion. So I saw a research when I was going to start my business, and I came to realize that all of us here, we buy based on emotion. Emotion drives the market. You just have to determine how you can drive the emotion into your favor. So emotion drives the market. You have to understand that. So you have to understand how the market also reacts. How do people react to your product? You have to carry out a conclusive research. Carry out a deep research while starting out. Choose a market, understand your market, understand that emotion drives the market, right? I'll give an example of how emotion drives the market. We all know herpes, right? When herpes came up, I booked herpes for my parents when they come to the UK. The first flight, they were happy. They had a very good review. The second time they come to the UK, when my wife gave birth, before then, before my wife gave birth, they came to the UK again, and I booked airpiece. And my parents came, and they complained. You know why they were complaining? Because they didn't allow my mom bring in our foodstuff for our children. Right? And she came in, crying in the house, saying, I will never use airpiece again. That's one bad review. Now, that bad review has driven a very cogent emotion in my heart. So when I was going to even come down here, I never thought of booking airpiece. That's number one. Number two, a couple of days ago, Fuka Kindele took up her phone and was shouting on Instagram that airpiece cancelled her flight. I think she was trying to travel to Ghana. Flight was cancelled, no compensation, nothing. You know what happens? Everyone began to blame airpiece. Now, I'm not citing anyone. You will now come to realize that at the end of the day, airpiece is losing the share of the market to the inability to satisfy people's emotion and to give a good service. So every time you make a mistake, you know that people's emotions are being triggered against you. Every time you do something that is not up to the standard. For example, now I buy a charger from Yebi, and maybe has told me that, oh, this charger, Ogbontarigi, the best of the best, fast charging everything, just go. And then I get home. Everything he told me was negative. I couldn't get anything out of the charger. It was slow, it was sloppy. Second day, it stopped working. Do you think I'll feel good? No, I'll feel very bad. And you also have to understand that the Nigerian economy works on the word of mouth. The economy of Nigeria today works on the word of mouth. So that's why I said it's very, very important you choose a sector to service. And how do you choose a sector to service? By knowing what the people want. Doing something over and over again makes you a master, right? The guy who does wedding photography will tell you, can give you 100 position of how to post, of how to make sure that your wife's curves and everything, her image, her face comes out. Whereas somebody who does everything, does wedding, does portraits, does product, does everything, will never be able to give you the same result. So choose a market, understand your market, choose a sector in your market, and then know that every sector works on emotion. On emotion. Now, you've done your research, you have the idea already, you have the vision, it has been written down, you are now trying to start. The second thing is structure. Lack of structure is the problem to the growth of so many businesses in this country. Lack of structure. And I understand. And it's quite difficult. It's quite difficult. And the reason why I said it's difficult is for someone who is starting